Hey, it's Anthony with Land Title. I came to bring you your Boulder County market update for the month, and let's just dive right into it. The one thing I think we can all talk about is the surplus of inventory coming onto the market. Active units right now are up 32.5% from this time last year. And that being said, this is going to be interesting for a while because if it follows the last trends of the last few years, we still have more inventory to come before sellers slow down and buyers are sort of in this lull that we're finding right now. So not only that, the other thing, solds are down 10% in June over June. So this year seems to be those seasonal trends took place a little earlier than last year. And because of that, we've had this really interesting time where, buyers slowed down early, listings are still coming to market. We're going to see piling up of inventory, but let's really get into that and look at where the inventory is and what's happening. So I think one thing we can talk about here. Look at this. Boulder is at 580 listings. This is the most I've seen in a very long time in the city of Boulder. That's up 40% year over year. But places like Erie, 58% increase, Superior, 57% increase, Lafayette's got a 44% increase. There's just more inventory out there in the market. And it's not necessarily because more homes are coming on the market. Now, there's always homes coming on the market, right? Summertime's a great time to list homes, but the problem is buyer behavior has changed. And so you can really see that here. Now, if we go over to the month supply of inventory, this is the first time in Boulder County in a while where we're approaching that 4 months of inventory number, and it's really more in balance. So at this point, that would be what we'd nationally consider a balanced market, since 5 months of inventory in the city of Boulder and about 3.5, depending on everywhere else in the county. This is starting to feel a little bit more like a buyer's market. Now, in the city of Boulder, it definitely is starting to feel that way. We usually don't get to these balanced markets. So people don't quite know how to interact with this, and buyers are feeling like they have the most power. So, that being said, this is becoming a great buyer season. I think the latter half of the year, buyers are going to have a lot of purchasing power with the way the market conditions are, right? We do have a lot of higher interest rates that we're still combating, but if you're a buyer, you can get out there. You definitely could find a deal or two. Now, days in MLS, check this out. We're down to 32 days in the MLS. This has been trending down all year. This should be the lowest point for the year, and we should be trending back up. That's a pretty normal seasonal trend. You can see that across the last 4 years or so, where normally June being our peak of the market. And the way things have gone, I'm actually kind of surprised that the days in MLS are not a little higher this month than they were. So 32 days, not so bad to go under contract, about a month, right? Now, if we look at it by price range, here's one thing that I think we can always take away from a year like this. Luxury is slowing down quite a bit, right? We are down 45% year to date from 2.5 to 3 million. We're down 20% year to date in 3+ million market. So those really high end stuff, it's just not moving like it was before. But listings are coming on the market and we're seeing it pile up. You'll have 147 listings over 3 million. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the bread and butter of Boulder County. Let's look at maybe 500 to a million. 500 to a million, we're talking an increase in the total number of solds. So that's a good sign that year to date, we're up 15% or so in many of those price ranges, but it's definitely starting to dwindle a little bit compared to where we were this time last year. So our seasonal trend yet again is starting to slow just a little bit. Now, if you look at it by month supply of inventory and days on market, those lower price ranges, that bread and butter, this is one of the higher days on market or month supply of inventory that we've seen in a while. You can see that some of the stuff really buttoned up, selling fast. So our averages are still pretty low, 18 from 800 to a million, 24 days on market from 600 to 800. But we're approaching 3 months of inventory. There's going to be a lot to choose from. Buyers can definitely be a little more choosy than they have in the past. Now, if you look at the sold analysis, I broke this out by detached and attached for you because they are not the same, right? In Boulder County, detached is king, and it always kind of has been, but it just shows the stability in the detached single family home market. Year to date, sales are up 22%. Now, the vast majority of those have taken place, those increases have taken place in Erie, Superior, Niwot, and Lafayette out in the county where things are maybe a little bit more affordable. Look at somewhere like the city of Boulder or Longmont, and we're basically where we were a year ago. The attached market, on the other hand, is a big concern, right? We see this every time we see these market shifts where attached is a little more volatile. So these sales in the attached market are down by 2.5% this year. We've seen a major slowdown in some of the markets. So certain markets like, I say Niwot, Superior, and Louisville, but those are the markets where we just don't have a lot of attached inventory. Superior, maybe, but even places like the City of Boulder had 50 solds in the attached market last month, which is an 8% drop from this time last year. And we're also selling a really different product type. So attach is slower, detach is definitely picking up a little bit of speed, but it's also kind of here nor there. So let's look at it by price. This one's detached by price. Our trailing 12-month data for the whole county shows minus 2%. Now, let's really dive into that because I don't necessarily believe that detached single family home inventory is actually getting cheaper because it really isn't. You can see in the City of Boulder, maybe because of its price point, it has come down in price just a hair, 2.5%. But I think people are buying a different product, right? Because when we looked at that super high end luxury real estate, that being down so far definitely changes our average. That's why sometimes we look at the median instead. But here we look at other places. Look at Louisville, look at Superior, look at Niwot, all these places like Longmont, 4% increases, 8% increases. We've seen some major increase in average sales price. So there's a lot of demand out in the county for detached single family homes. When we switch over to the attached product, you can see here the exact opposite is taking place, right? We've seen that contraction in the market. We've seen attached get harder to sell. Now, the one I will point out, the City of Boulder is down about 4% attached. We're just not selling the same product, right? Those higher end products, they're just not moving as fast. So being that we're selling cheaper condos, we are actually seeing what looks like a drop in the averages. But either way, I think there's some stability there. Obviously, Louisville is showing something where we got to take it with a grain of salt because when you only have one sale, these are skewed a little bit. So most likely, I think we're okay, right? Stability is key in Boulder County. We all know that. Now, if you look at this, this will tell you kind of what we've been experiencing. People were excited this year. They came out of the gate a lot better. We did really well all the way through May. But because we've kind of been trudging through mud this year, trying to get deals done, deals seem to be tougher. Buyers are harder to qualify. It's harder to find people actually shopping. Sellers are kind of stuck, right? They're very sticky. We're starting to really feel that in the latter half of the year. June has started to slow down quite a bit more than it was last year. Now, especially with the Fed changing their mind on interest rates and kind of staying put where we are, the consumer confidence has definitely slowed a little bit. So we have different buyer behavior than we had a year ago. That being said, it could speed up at any minute if interest rates just have a little bit of wiggle room, right? So for now, we're kind of hurry up and wait and everybody's hanging out. But we do have an election this year. We have all this uncertainty in the market. I do expect this to be just slightly less than where we were last year through the rest of the year. But good news is year to date, we're up 14% sales. So we have a lot of room to give right now. Now, where did that 14% take place? It took place in Erie and in Lafayette. Those were places with a huge increase in number of sales where the rest of the market has been fairly stable. So last one I wanted to talk to you about today is our detached single family homes and attached single family homes, the percentage sold price to list price. So the one thing this year that's pretty different is that competition level between sellers and buyers. Now, there's so many more listings coming on the market and buyers are still buying about the same rate they bought a year ago, right? So it's actually less competitive as a buyer out there in the marketplace. Now you can see that with the 98.8% listed sale price across most of the markets, we're down 0.5 to 1%. So they're paying just a little bit less in that negotiations than they were before. And this doesn't even take into account for price drops or concessions that are out there too. So the big message here is I think go out to your buyers and really try to engage them over the next 6 months because over the latter half of the year, I think there's a lot of deals to be had. There's going to be more inventory to look at. People are going to be able to find really good product as a listing agent. And if you're looking at your listings, really we got to price aggressively and we got to put our best foot forward all the time to make sure things are selling. So hopefully this is helpful. If you need local market information, reach out to me about that and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.